and welcome the new members, Denmark, Greece, Pakistan,
Listen
Panama,
to him closely
and Somalia.
describe how Israel
Recently, my
is
phone
being
buzzed
victimized.
with a notification that shocked me to my core. The school I myself attended as a child for 8 years, a place that shaped my earliest memories in my hometown Ramat Gan, was struck by a ballistic missile launched by the Houthis. My own school in my own hometown.
Oh my goodness.
Its classrooms, once filled with the laughter of children, were forever changed by their terror. In another attack, a playground in Jaffa filled with children was struck, leaving a 3-year-old critically injured. Since then, the Houthi terrorists have been launching an endless bombardment of ballistic missiles at our population centers. Answer me honestly, what would you do if it were your child, your school, your city? Because this isn't just my story, it's Israel's story. And it's a story we are living every single day. We have had enough. Once again, millions of Israelis are waking up every night to the sound of sirens wailing across the country.
Oh my goodness.
Yet another ballistic missile
How did this
launched
all
by
start?
the Houthis. Again and again and again. For over a year, this Iranian-backed terrorist organization has unleashed almost 300 unprovoked missile and drone attacks targeting Israeli civilians and communities. 300. This is systematic, calculated terror.
No mention.
Look at this map. Look at the distance between Yemen and Israel. Israel does not even share a border with Yemen. 2,000 kilometers separate us. 1,500 miles. 2,000 kilometers. We have no dispute with them. Yet they send their missiles and their drones to murder our people. And why? Pure radical jihadist hatred for Jews.
So reflect on that, folks. He's devoid of history, what Israel's been doing to the Palestinians since the Palestinian state was formed in 1948. They've lived in an apartheid situation their entire time. There's been ethnic cleansing going on, and then they cage them in to certain quarters where they can live, and they have to have ID and permission to pass through the gates. They've been living in a concentration camp, yet this man is trying to play on your heart card. Oh, look at our poor Israelis being bombed. Look what you've done, sir. Look what you've done to your whole entire region now. No mention of what you're doing in Lebanon, still, even though there's a, quote, ceasefire. Let's hear what the Russians have to say. Maybe we'll get some truth here.
Floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam President, we're grateful to ASG for the Middle East, Asia and the Pacific, Mr. Khaled Kiari, for his briefing. The situation in the Middle East is a cause for the gravest concern. Unprecedented in scope and length. The violence is not only not ending, but it's on the rise, unfortunately. More and more countries in the region are being sucked into this vicious circle. Yemen is no exception. Around Yemen, over the last 10 days, we've seen further escalation unfold. It's important to figure out the root causes, eschewing a one-sided interpretation of the situation, the degradation of which is being ascribed by our Western colleagues, including today, exclusively to the Ansar Allah movement. However, we shouldn't dismiss the broader context, because many hotspots of tension are today provoked by the actions of Israel against Palestinians, actions which are spurring rejection and condemnation on Arab streets. Madam President, the Houthis' launch of a missile towards Israel in the night of 19th to 20th of December, without a doubt, deserves our condemnation. As far as we know, this missile was intercepted by Israeli air defenses before it crossed the Israeli border, yet fragments did damage a school. Several more strikes followed. Thankfully, there were no casualties. We understand that such incidents involving missiles and UAVs at Israeli territory are sensitive for West Jerusalem. We'd like to re-emphasize the unacceptability of any actions which pose a threat to civilians and civilian infrastructure objects. Our sympathies go out to all those affected, including those affected as a result of the strike on Jaffa on the 21st of December. We hope they'll have a swift recovery. Yet the latest incidents following what happened on the 19th of December, including the reaction of Israel's military with the involvement of the US Navy and then the entire self-proclaimed Anglo-Saxon coalition in the Red Sea, is clearly not proportional. It also deserves our condemnation. As a result of massive strikes on Sana'a, the Yemeni capital, as well as Hadeda, Salif and Ras Isa, a minimum 9 people died. Fuel tanks, power stations and tugboats were attacked. A serious blow was dealt to port infrastructure. We're disquieted by reports circulated by the media, including the Israeli media, according to which the IDF Air Force attack on Yemeni ports was planned in advance, so that when, on the 19th of December, Houthis launched rockets, Israeli fighter jets were already in the air. Such circumstances require our careful assessment as a minimum. As a result of the last few days, Yemen was subjected to a genuine air attack. As a result of Israel's latest airstrikes with the support of the US, strikes on Sana'a and Yemeni Red Sea ports on the 24th of December, the following was subject to targeted attacks: oil terminals, power stations, and Sana'a International Airport, where a high-level WHO delegation was present at the time, led by WHO DG Dr. Ghebreyesus. It's a miracle that he came out unscathed, as according to his own witness account, facilities just a few meters away were destroyed. Due to the strike on the airport, a minimum 2 people died. 1 member of the crew transporting the delegation was injured. And, by the way, the delegation was in Sana'a to negotiate on the humanitarian situation in Yemen, including the issue of the release of detained UN personnel. In other words, the US and the UK were hypocritically calling for everything to be done for this personnel to be released. But then they put the lives of those UN negotiators who were trying to negotiate this release at risk. We call on everyone to listen to the SG's statement. He said that attacks on Sana'a and Red Sea ports endanger humanitarian operations in a serious way, at a time when millions of people in Yemen need this humanitarian assistance. It's difficult to characterize Israel's and the Anglo-Saxon coalition's actions as anything but a deliberate escalation, which resulted in casualties amongst civilians in Yemen.